In this video, we will be looking at domain networking. Sometimes domain networking is also called Active Directory implementation. Here we will be taking two systems, Windows 2016 server, which will act as a domain controller, and Windows 10 system, which will act as a domain client. Now, lab setup will be with Windows 2016 server. IP address will be 172.24.0.16. Mask will be 255.255.0.0. The name of the computer will be say 16, and we will be giving the domain name as example.com. If you have got any registered domain name, you can use that. But if you do not have got any registered domain name, you can always use example.com. And then on Windows 10 system, we will be giving the address 172.24.0.10. Mask will be 255.255.0.0. Computer name will be C10, and then your domain name will be example.com. That means we need to make 4 changes. We will see how to. Now, what is the difference between workgroup and domain networking? We have already discussed about the workgroup networking. Now we want to implement domain type of networking. Now, what is the difference between those networking? It is very compulsory or necessary to understand the difference between workgroup and domain networking, where you need the workgroup type of networking and where you need domain type of networking. So here in this slide, we are looking at the difference between workgroup and domain networking. Suppose some organization have given you the task to implement the networking, and they have left it on you whether you want to implement workgroup networking or domain networking. So what are the consideration or what are the factors that you have to keep in mind when we are designing workgroup or domain type of networking? Suppose the organization wants to implement workgroup networking, then what they have to consider, and if they want to implement domain type of networking, then what type of factors they need to consider. So step by step, we are looking at the differences between what are the factors required for workgroup and what were required for domain. First of type of OS. Any Windows OS can participate in workgroup networking. That means you can Windows 10, Personal Edition, Home Edition, Windows 7, XP, Windows 98, even the older operating system. You can bring them into network. Any Windows operating system. It could be Home Edition, it could be Enterprise, it could be Professional Edition. But in the case of domain networking, any OS except Home Edition, you cannot bring Home Edition into domain type of networking. Then if you have to do the workgroup type of networking, then what we are going to specify in workgroup? Example, like when we were doing the workgroup networking, we specify net. And what about domain? You have to specify example.com. That means it should be of domain type. Now, how you will call individual system in workgroup? If it is C16, we are normally going to say C16, C10. But if it is domain networking, we have to use the name like C16.example.com, C10.example.com. And what about the necessity of any server? That means if you are doing the workgroup networking, you can bring 2 Windows 10 systems also into workgroup type of networking. But in the case of domain, at least one system should have server operating system. That could be 2016, 12, 8, 3 or 2000. But in the case of workgroup, no necessity of any server OS. If you are going to increase the size of workgroup networking more than 10, then you need the server OS. Otherwise, if up to 10 system, no need for any server operating system. Then in workgroup, individual login. In domain networking, centralized login. What do you mean by individual login and centralized login? we will go to the diagram to understand that. This is our 2016 server, this is our Windows 10. On Windows 2016 server we have got administrator user, the password is ASDFS1234, and on Windows 10 we have got test user, again the password is same. Now suppose if I am going to create one VPN user here with the username VPN and the password this. Now if it is workgroup networking, then I can only log in from Windows 2016 server. I will not be able to log in from Windows 10 system. I have to create the password username also here, then only I can log in as a VPN user. Suppose if I've got 500 system in workgroup networking, that means I need to create VPN user on all these 500 system with the same password. If I have to change the password on 500 system, I have to change the password. If I have to delete the user, I have to delete the user in all the 500 systems. That is the problem with the workgroup type of networking. But if I have implemented domain type of networking, suppose Windows 2016 server is there, I have implemented Active Directory here. That means Active Directory will convert this into domain controller. And if I am going to create the user VPN with the password ASDF #1234, then this user can log in from this system also. If there are 500 system, that user can log in from all the 500 system. That is the advantage of domain. That is centralized login. We have to create user only at one place, not all the system. That is the beauty of Active Directory. You cannot survive without domain type of networking in Microsoft Word. So we will be looking at, in this case, what we will be doing, we will be having 2016 server. We will give the address 16, Windows 10, it will be having address 172.24.0.10. Step by step we are going to implement that. Now I will move to the practical. First let me check whether our system are in proper networking or not. So I will go to my Windows 16 demo. I will log in with which user? Administrator user. The password is ASDF #1234. I will check the addresses using PowerShell. Also I can check, or I can check from Open Network and Sharing folder, adapter settings, right click, IPv4. That means it is having 172.24.0.16. It is okay. I went to check the name also. For that I will click on this PC, properties, C16 is the name, and because it is in workgroup networking, workgroup is net. Now we will move to our other system, Windows 10. ASDF #1234. We will check. Other method for checking is PowerShell. With which command? ifconfig ipconfig. It is showing the address. And what about the name? This PC, properties, C10. And we will check the connectivity. Again we will go to the power CLS. I will clear the screen. Ping 172.24.0.16. That means we are properly able to ping. Now it is in work group networking. We need to implement the domain type of networking. So what we are going to do, we will go to our 2016 server. I will go to the server manager. It is already open. If it is not open, you can go here from here. Now whatever server we are going to implement, all the things we will be doing from server manager dashboard. Now here we are going to say add role and features. Next, we want to add role. Mean the older server we used to say server. Now we are saying role based. Web server role, FTP server role, DNS server role. Next. Now on which server I want to manage? Because with server manager you can manage remote system also. But in this case, which system we want to manage? C16. So we will say. Now a lot of options are there. For implementing Active Directory, we need to choose this Active Directory Domain Services. Active Directory Domain Services. Now there is one problem. This Active Directory is dependent upon DNS server. Now there are two ways to configure DNS server. One, we will say to the Active Directory, please configure the DNS according to its requirement. Another, we can configure the DNS manually. Never choose the manual method. So in this case, we want our Active Directory to implement the DNS according to its needs. So here we will click on DNS also. What will happen? Now Active Directory will configure the DNS according to its requirement. Otherwise, if you are going to manually configure, then most of the time you will get problems in Active Directory implementation. So we have to choose this. Next, 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 next. What it is saying? Restart the server. That means sometimes certain things get activity only after the restart. Sometimes we forget to restart. In this case, if we are going to say restart the server automatically, if the requirement is there, then please automatically restart the server. So we are clicking on this. Now install. Now it will take 3 to 4 minutes depending upon the requirement. That means now it is installing the necessary softwares. Then we need to promote, because now this server is in workgroup networking. We need to promote it to domain controller. In older servers like in 2000 server or 2003 servers, we have to run one command called DC promo. DC promo means domain controller promotion. But now these days we do not need to run that command. We can configure it automatically. That means here we will get one notification whether you want to promote this server to DNS or to domain controller or not. There we are going to choose that we want to promote it to. We will wait for that screen. Till then, let us again move to our slides. That means now we are trying to implement domain type of networking here. Then later on, we have to also bring this system under domain also, Windows 10. Now when we are installing the Active Directory, we have also installed the DNS server. So what is the address of our DNS server? Because DNS server is getting implemented on 172.24.0.16, that means our DNS server's address is also 172.24.0.16. That DNS address we have to give it into our networking services. other we will not be able to properly implement domain type of networking. Let me again go to the screen. Now it is successfully installed. What it is saying? Promote this server to domain controller. So I will click on this. Now we need to understand these options. Add a domain controller to existing domain. That means already one domain controller is there. For fault tolerance, we want to add one additional domain controller. In our case, there is no such situation. Now then it is giving some option, add a new forest, these type of things. Let us understand what is this. So again I will move to the slides. Now in Microsoft there is a concept of forest, tree and domain. That means in our case we will be choosing the domain example.com. That is our domain. Under that there could be subdomain like India, UK. In India it could be Chandigarh. That means the whole will be chandigarh.india.example.com. In this case it will be london.uk.example. This whole is called tree. Now suppose we have got another tree, not example.com. Under that also India, UK, Chandigarh. That means chandigarh.india.notexample.com. Now this is one tree, this is one tree. This is called forest, that is number of trees. Now this structure normally 2 trees, 3 trees, this is implemented when we have got already one company is there, we have acquired the second company. There we will be using this type of structure. Here if we have got main domain, then child domain, then we will be choosing. In our case we do not have such a structure. So in our case our forest will also be example.com, our tree will also consist of example.com only, and our domain will be example.com. So in our case we are not adding new domain to existing forest, but we are creating new forest. So example.com. Next, now sometimes we need to restore the directory service if there is a corruption. For that also we need to specify some password. One is our administrator password, second restore password. That should be different, but in our case to make the thing simple, again I am giving the same pass, which is not the recommended practice. That means ASDF. Next, we do not need to create delegation. Next, NetBIOS name. Sometimes there might be some home edition system in your network that will not be able to understand example.com, or some other old system which not be able to understand example.com. For that we have got NetBIOS name. So it is asking for what should be the NetBIOS name. It is by default it is showing example. We will accept that. Next. Now further it is going to specify where is the database folder, log folder, sys folder. We will select the default option. Again it is performing, it is giving you the information what you have selected. So it is okay for us, we will say no. Now it is will be performing certain checks whether everything is okay. That means whether you can go on with the installation or not. So it is giving some warnings method, but again all prerequisite check pass successfully. Click install to bring. So now we are going to install. Now it is going to take 5 to 6 minutes. So let us Up to that point we will see, then it will reboot also, then we will log in from that again admin, and then we will create the user. Now it is going to take 4 to 5 minutes. So up to then, let us configure our Windows 10 system. So I will go to my Windows 10 system. First of all, right click, Ethernet, change adapter settings, property, TCP. Now we need to specify the DNS servers. In our case, 172.24.0.16. Why? Because when we are implementing Active Directory, we also implemented the DNS server there, and that system's address was 172.24.0.16. So for our case, the server's name is DNS server's name is. So we are now. How we are going to join this system into domain networking? Again, I will go to right click, PC, right click, properties. Then where we will go? We will be going to the change settings. Change. Now, system is this. Now, what we would like to do? We will specify here the example.com. When we are going to click on this OK, what will happen? It will ask for the administrator's password. We need to enter the administrator password, username and password. Then only it will be able to join. But this is only possible when we have properly successfully implemented our Active Directory on Windows 16. So let us go to our Windows 16 system and see what is the status there. So now it is applying changes. It is going to take 3 to 4 minutes. Up to then we will again discuss the slides. That means this is our structure. So we have already implemented this. Now what we are going to do? We will be creating one user vpn/asdf #1234, and then we will see whether this user is able to log in from this Windows 10 system or not. If the user is able to log in from this system, that means we have successfully implemented our domain type of networking. Now again, this was our structure. That means 2016 having this address, Windows 10 this, mask, same here, name. Now after we have implemented the domain networking, so the whole name, fully qualified domain name will become as c16.example.com, c10.example.com. Now what were the any ability? Now in our case, because we were implementing domain networking, so we did not take the home edition. It was one server and one professional edition. So our system will be having this address c16.example.com, c10, and domain is example.com. And at least one system should be server OS. So in our case, one is Windows 10, another is 2016. In the case of Workgroup, there was no need for any server 2016 product. Now, after the implementation, we will look at whether there is centralized login in or not. So again, it is taking time. So again, we are going to move to the slides. So this is the case. So let us again go to the understand. That means it is very critical to understand. That means forest, domain, what is forest, what is tree. We need to understand this. So again, this is our domain example.com. If I am going to create subdomain or child domain, India under that Chandigarh, then it will become chandigarh.india.example.com. This will be london.uk.example.com. That is tree like structure. If we have got second tree also, that will become our forest. That is complicated type of networking. But in this case, we have got, there is nothing such thing exist. So we just created one new forest with example.com with single tree and single domain. Later on, we can add child domain also. We can add new tree into our forest also, but we will not be going into that details. So let us again. So I will pause the video and wait for that to happen. So let me. It is taking time. So again we are resuming the video. This is our 2016 server. Keyboard. ASDF #1234. Now it is showing example administrator. So let me create one user also. But before that, I need to bring my Windows 10 system into networking. So I will go to Windows 10, show. Up to this point we were clear, so I will say OK. Now what is the username? Administrator, because only administrator can add any system into domain networking. ADF #1234. OK. Now it is saying welcome to. OK. OK. Now look at the name, full computer name c10.example.com. Close. Restart now. So now it will take time. Up to that point of time, what we are going to do? I am going to add some user. Where? On Windows 16 system. So that server image is open. We will go to the tools. Now there we have got Active Directory users and computers. This domain is there, example.com. Domain controller is A16. Computer is C10. Now users, we have already got administrator user, test user. What I am going to do? I will create one new user, Vipin. Now look at the name, vipin@example.com. Next, again I have to give that complex password, ASDF #1234. ASDF #1234. So we will remove this, uncheck this, finish. That means we are able to. Now the main thing is now whether that user is now able to log in from Windows 10 or not. Now here it is test user, so I have to select the other user. Which is the other user? Vipin ASDF #1234. So as can be seen, we were successful in logging. That means we were successfully able to implement our domain networking. Later on we will be looking at some other things also in like group policy type of thing, but the main topic that means active directory, it is very simple if you are going to keep in mind certain things. That means now that user is able to log in from this, we can by specifying keyboard symbol we can sign out. So again I will move to window 10. That means we are successful in implementing our domain networking. I will close down. That means we are successful